Hi, I'm Lucas Mack, and I'm on a mission to see the hurting get healed and the healed go out and heal others, in order for all of us to experience the true love and light we desire. This podcast is me sharing my journey with you, so you don't feel alone in your journey. Welcome to the Golden Rule Revolution. Hello, my brothers and sisters, and welcome back to another episode of the Golden Rule Revolution. I am Lucas Mack, and I'm really excited to bring today's episode to you. I have Dr. Tommy John on the show, and I reached out to him because I love all the content that he's putting out, and I asked him to come on. He said yes, so we hit record and we just start talking, and I think it's one of the greatest conversations. Very inspiring. He is a warrior of love, and he's a warrior of freedom and sovereignty and all the things that I value. And really fascinating. He is the son, which you'll hear, of the very famous New York Yankees pitcher, Tommy John, where we get Tommy John surgery from. So he had an experimental surgery done on him, and fascinating guy, really beautiful. So Tommy, thanks for coming on, and everyone enjoy. My brother warrior, my warrior brother, guys. I mean, listen, when I hear someone that has a sword,
I do. I was just about to. I got it right now. A samurai sword, baby.
So, first of all, thank you for speaking. Thank you for being who you are and holding the line like you are holding, especially in California. I'm up in Seattle, so we're in this left coast sanity.
Yeah.
Before I get into your current life, what you're doing, you grew up in a unique perspective. Everyone has their own unique perspective, but you grew up in a house that, had a name, notoriety in that athletic world. What was your life growing up, and where did you get the fire? Or when did you first know you had that fire inside you?
Yeah, so nobody's asked me that question. Nobody's tied my childhood or the baseball background to what's going on now. Everyone's just kind of separate them as two different lives, right? Dude, my dad, when we lived in North Jersey, it was the shit. Like we'd go to every game he'd pitch. We'd miss school the next day. The school knew it. We're in North Jersey. You're living with a Yankee player. Like, everyone's either Mets or Yankees. My God. I mean, it's like these guys are emulating his teammates in wiffle ball, as we're playing. Well, I just hung out with his teammates who you're emulating. Like, but they were just humans. They weren't like these stars.
Right.
So I think that was the first thing, that everyone's a human being.
Yeah.
I think that was one of my first exposures. Like, wow, Don Mattingly, Willie Randolph, Dave Winfield, Ron Guidry. These are Rick Roden. These are really nice guys, men, and I didn't look at them as some divide of celebrity status, right. That bullshit that we feed into now that's kind of allowed us to become where we are now.
Yeah.
But I loved going to Yankees games. I loved him coming off the field because everyone would cheer. I didn't watch him to learn technique and strategy. I just loved the respect that the other people gave him, and he signed every autograph after games. I loved it because we'd go out, they'd freak out, and he'd stay there and sign every autograph. And we'd go home late. Like, that's just how he was. He was just this consistent train of simple. He practiced, he executed. If it didn't work, he went back, he figured it out, and he was just the same guy. At the highest level of baseball, third longest career in the history of the game, seventh winningest lefty of all time. Wow. Like, these are all time numbers, wow. Let alone the surgery and all that.
Yeah.
So I was targeted. I was bullied. I think people kind of thought that I would take on that. There are some players' kids and some movie star kids and some stuff who act a certain way, right? And we made sure, there were 4 of us, that we noticed them, and we wouldn't act that way, And so I think just as siblings, we had this agreement. It wasn't like our mom was like, don't you act like that. Right. Don't you? We just observed the ones that did act like that, we were always like, man, that's just not cool. And we had this as siblings, you know, we just kind of took it upon ourselves. But talk about witnessing somebody mastering or attempting to master their craft, you know? And so I'd watch him drive, and he'd drive with a softball, splitting his fingers. He'd split his fingers to keep them stretched. He didn't throw a splitter, but he wanted his fingers very pliable. So he'd drive with a softball wedged in his fingers. He'd throw pitches in his car mentally because he'd always be talking to himself, moving his hand. He'd run batters while he's driving. He'd constantly think about doing this thing and what every element of his life, how it was all tied into him being the best pitcher. And I'm getting to something because this is exactly what I'm doing now, only pitching has nothing to do with it. Right? Yeah. He was just trying to express his best human self, his best self, man. And if he did that, that meant his team was going to be in a position to win the game. And if he did it enough times, he was going to win a lot. Like that was it. So I don't know if it was witnessing that. I don't know if it's part of my code that is expressing. But I was an older soul. I loved challenges. I loved doing things nobody else could, kind of a thing. I mean, think about it. Like you're a target at some point because your dad's a Yankees player. You know what I mean? And there's people that don't, even in college baseball, the name on my back. I mean, people would target me because they thought, again, I was going to be just this cruel, you know, self-absorbed, you know, person. And when they got to know me, they were just like, oh my God, you're actually kind of a cool dude. Like, yeah, like, thank you, you know. But I think knowing that your movements and your actions were always under a microscope. And so I think that just kind of gave me a taste of handling the pushback from something, even if you know it to be true, capital T. You know, with what I was, because we were unconventional. My dad practiced unconventionally. I practiced unconventionally. We did this stuff in the face of ridicule, mockery. You know, the masses aren't doing it. I know. So I was always one to go in through the outdoor. I was always one to show up early, leave late. I was always one to I'd be hungover in college, no doubt, but I'd always wake up after my Papa John's large pizza, and I'd watch, you know, Behind the Music, John Denver, and I'd buy like 10 John Denver CDs at the music store. And then I'd go do my stuff, you know? So I always got it in. But I was always that, not for other reasons. I wasn't doing it for the response of anybody else. I was just doing it because I had certain intentions and certain things I wanted to accomplish. That's cool. And then you can kind of fast forward to today, and it's really not that different. Right. Only there's more at stake now. And that's why I've pulled back any filter, any governor, anything that would ever be holding me back now. There's no more room to be quiet, subdued, passive. It's go time. It's go time now.
As you just say this, the lion comes in the frame behind you.
Oh, you see it?
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, all right.
Isn't it rad?
You orchestrated that really well.
Yeah, right. I did that perfectly.
That's amazing. Oh man, it is. It's such an amazing time. So my background, you're talking about celebrity and people with that prestige. I was a TV reporter in entertainment. I was in TV across the country. So I'd interview the celebrities and I'd see them be one in particular. I wrote a book called Everyone Has a Plan Until They Get Punched in the Face. That came out in 2013. And I talk about the celebrity, not naming him, not trying to knock him, but just
I got you.
This, he was so viscerally rude to everyone, including me. But as soon as our camera light went on, it went dimple and and I had worked with them before in another show. Yeah. And the facade, the veneer that people were buying into the smoke screen, but not seeing the truth behind it. So that's cool that you got to see, because people are still buying into the veneer, being gaslit by all this narcissism. And you got to grow up, say, all right, I know it's true amidst all the lights. Yeah.
That was it. Yeah.
Wow. Bro.
It was like I mean, it's so bad because the wrong people are celebrities. Now that's shifting. Now there's doctors and scientists and life people,
true humanitarians and life.
Seriously, like the people doing the work are who we should see on TV and have posters of.
That's right.
But if I could say something, like my dad didn't give a shit. And that was one of those things. He was like a true, like he didn't feed into all that. And I remember being like, he totally could. And I observed, and he just wasn't. He was his authentic self no matter what.
That's cool.
There was one him, and he was going to be that no matter what was going to happen. And I think now part of what we're going through, we need to try to find that authentic self, right? What is self? We don't even know what self is anymore, just because the way the systems have kind of beat it out of us, or infected us so badly.
What was your dad's parents like? Was that culturally ingrained in that household?
So he was, my grandpa was a little harsher. His wife, my grandma, they were no nonsense. Indiana, my dad was a better basketball player than baseball player. They built a mountain in the backyard. He had chores. They did this, that. My grandpa made comments to my parents that they weren't hard enough on me. And I had insane rules. I could get into you, and not rules for baseball, just rules raising kids, like weird stuff. You know what I mean? And he's just like, you guys are too loose with him. You need to lock him down if he's going to be the best baseball player. And they're like, well, what if he doesn't want to be? Like what? And so I heard that. So there was this thing. So I don't know. It's not like my dad. He had a choice, but it was like in Indiana, you were at a school where there's like 40 people in your class.
Yeah. Right.
Everybody plays basketball. Adolph Rupp is coming to the house to recruit him. Right. Like everybody plays baseball. It's just kind of like a very simplified life, and you go at things and you go hard and that's it. You go till it can't happen again. But he tried to apply that. So they were a little more stern, a little more, nose. Now, I wasn't one you had to nudge to work hard, but I also loved the life experience that meant crushes on girls. And, night, like going to the Mega Mall in Minnesota and trying to go to the top floor, which was where the movies and the restaurant were. And, just hanging out with your buddies, night games and exploring abandoned houses and trying a Marb Red, and just like getting knocked on your ass by a Marb Red. It was like, what is this?
That's great.
Zima. You remember Zima?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah. So it's just like, I love that stuff. I love the experience of being human, but I also had things that I wanted to accomplish. I didn't need to be told the sacrifices I would make. I was an older soul early on. I didn't need a lot of guidance, and that's been the way now. Like now, I'm so glad to see where we're headed, because we almost have to go back to these old school traditional lifestyles. And I fucking love it. I love where we're headed, because I've been like fantasizing, not that this would happen, but that we would adopt.
We get back to get back to that foundational living.
Right.
There's a great quote by an old Christian preacher that A.W. Tozer, he said, "A man with an experience is never at the mercy of a man with an argument." And that's what we are. That's what we're coming into. You've experienced things. So who's going to say, well, this is that. And that's like, I've experienced, I know my knowing is true because I experienced it myself. Therefore I can't be gaslit or led astray or fear mongered. Right. And that's what we're waking back up to, I think, as well.
It's huge you said that, because Dr. Cassie Huckabee and I have extensive lengths of conversation on this. I'm speaking at a Heart of Freedom rally, and I'm trying to see where to take this and where to go. Judy Mikovits is going to be there, Simone Gold, Del Bigtree. Awesome. There's some heavy hitters, but there's a focus kind of on data and science, and there's a focus on these aspects. And I'm like, you know what? I'm a very experiential person, and what it ends up being, my studies are experience. My studies are observing people. And then all of a sudden somebody's like, oh, that thing you're doing? Did you know so-and-so wrote a book about it? I'm like, I didn't know what it was. Or, oh, is that so-and-so's method? I don't have any idea. I just know like those methods and the data and the science follow the human, not the other way around.
That's right.
And so if we can get back to the experience of it, we'll all get to the same place, but you're trying to reduce a human being down to a system, a data point, and the human is too quantum. Like the whole observation study, right? Observe,
yes, right.
elect. Once they know they're observed, once they're observed, they change. Like you can't do it. And that's the thing. We're trying to reduce us down to even our holistic side, like the side that is supporting. I'm like, you guys are doing the same thing, just in a different way. And so if you don't follow Dr. Cassie Huckabee, follow her now, because she put a big thing on science this morning. She writes so eloquently. She's a naturopath, like has people curing cancers and reversing MS and doing things, because that's what we do. Like that's what the human does. It heals. That's why they called it cancer. It's healing. Yes. So it's, again, getting back to that, not virtual experience, but the actual experience of life. And you said it, I've been putting in the work for 20 plus years. And this is my big point. When you do the daily activity of thousands of brush, that's why I did that naked and ready for war video. It was funny.
It's hilarious.
I mean, I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
I was like cracking up, like parts that on my own. I'm like pushing the strawberry through, and I'm dying laughing. And I'm like, God, that's funny shit, you know?
Yeah.
But I was like, I left out a lot of what I do on the day to day. Cassie's got the day-to-day. There's other people who have the day-to-day. Well, here's the thing. If we do the work and we continue to do the work, no matter what variable is thrown at us, we can calmly, in a low emotional state, make a decision and not immediately go to some, because let's say any of this stuff was real or whatever. What's the bet? What am I going to do about it?
Right.
Nothing. Right. I can't, I just have to put myself in the position to not die and to thrive. Like, what's that? The same shit I'm doing now.
Right.
And so that's the thing, is there's also a state of mind that you do when you do the work. You start to see things differently and you vibrate differently, right?
That's right.
Like your energy shifts. So now all of a sudden everyone's like, what am I supposed to do? And I'm like, well, when you do the work, you'll know. Yes. Because you'll just start seeing things differently. You'll know if you're supposed to move. Yep. You'll know if the partner you're with is right for you. You'll know if you're supposed to homeschool. You'll know if you're supposed to convert to gold. You'll know if you're supposed to be a part of a march or a group. You'll know, because you won't be able to turn it off. That's it. Like now there's so much static. Nobody knows if they're hungry. They don't know if they're tired. They don't know if they're alone. It's like, everything's just this advertisement. You know what I mean? And so I truly believe that if we do the work, I don't make decisions in my day. It's just a path. Yeah. Just, like, I just go. Yes, yeah. There's no choices. Like, it's like, oh, choose to, do this healthy thing or not. Like, what are you talking about? Choice. It's just a way. It's a way of life. Yes. Oh, holistic medicine. No, it's just medicine. Yeah. Like, are you healing something? I'm like, no, humans have one way to heal, and that's just heal. We've divided it into all these little, separate mechanical, algorithmic, where we have a professional to tell you how to brush your teeth, lay in your bed and fucking chew your food. It's like, great. And I'm sorry, but when we do that work, and that's why I keep coming back to, where do I want to focus during all this? What is my mission? And I reevaluate every day. I'm like, what can I do more, right? Well, one, getting people to be their true self and do the work and find them. That's it. That's the protest. Dr. Kelly Brogan said, you owe it to humanity to heal yourself. Because you healing yourself just put out in the ether a different energy, and it will affect global. Yes. Now, if we all did that, and that was the most profound thing I'd heard, maybe in this whole thing, was you owe it to humanity to heal yourself. And then Sarah G, like, one up there months later, and he goes, the greatest protest is being your most resilient, healthiest version of yourself. That's it. There's the protest. Done.
I gave a TED talk. First of all, yes. I mean, in a loving way, I'd give you a headbutt right now. Just like, I freaking love it. I love what you're talking about. I gave a TED talk 2 years ago called Breaking the Cycle of Child Abuse, because I grew up horribly abused. My mom escaped, like all sorts of crazy stuff. But I said, there's all these statistics. Every 6 seconds, a child's abused in the United States. 800,000 children go missing in the US every single year. Only 500,000 quote unquote died from this virus. So don't tell me your virtue
Yeah.
Hearing about people who died from, and I don't even believe those stats, when 800,000
Sure.
people are missing here. But I said, at the end of the day, when hurting people can become healed and healed people can go out and heal others, a new statistic will arise. The statistic of a healed person. And can you imagine if the news was like 1,000 people healed today? 1,000,000 people healed today. People will be like, this is incredible. We're all healing. But that narrative controlling of another case, like, yeah, but
I know.
Of course. So we can heal and we can become our own heroes in our own story and not give our power away. And my encouragement to all, I mean, I love Dr. Judy. It's just every name you listed except one I didn't know. And warriors, you're all warriors on the front line in that field. And I honor it. And I would say as well, don't go stat for stat with these people. I was talking to the NRA, one of the heads of the NRA, and I said, why have you not said that there's no such thing as an assault rifle?
Right.
I had my phone. I said, this is an assault phone if I intend to throw it at you and hurt you.
Right. Sure.
He was like, there's no, it's AR rifles, an amber light rifle. That's what the manufacturer is. Why did you guys allow that narrative to be hijacked? And then you're trying to combat what it looks like. Come on, get out of here. You lead. And I just love what you guys are doing. Brother, truly, I know you're just like, who's this guy reaching out to me? But you're a warrior, and I have I'm with you.
Thanks, dude.
Like, I feel the fire. When you did your 4-step face thing, I was like,
how great is that?
I laughed so hard at the sound. I was watching. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's
okay.
the noise.
The noise.
It's the noise, man.
Oh my gosh. Oh man, it's hilarious. You're bringing.
I know, and everyone's like, that. Literally, I haven't laughed so hard in forever. I'm like, that's it. That's a good thing. Like, yeah, I'm kind of making a point. If we started doing that to the people that were getting all upset, I don't know, But no, you brought up a good point. Like Cassie said this as well, and I keep bringing her up because we're on this science kick. It's like, when did the powerful study the powerless? Like, what are we doing? You know? And I had and I'll use her in my talk because it was brilliant. The girl that cuts my hair. She came to my apartment. She's doing it home because her studio got closed down. It went out of business.
Right.
And so she comes to my house and she's telling me her 2 daughters and her husband got sick, quote unquote, whatever, expressing symptoms, and he got tested and whatever that means. Okay. And she's like, no, it's interesting you said that, because she was talking about contagion. And I'm like, well, using Dr. Tom Cowan's, approach to things. And I was just like, think about this. Like, does the house get infected, or are they like expressing a resonance where the bodies communicate to each other and might use symptoms or a flushing or a detoxing to level up to the environment? Because they're so intelligent, like trees.
Cool. That's
like
cool.
Trees. Yes. They communicate to each other, right?
That's good.
So now if I got symptomatic from you, I'd thank you for doing that, because our bodies talked and said, yo, to survive in this environment that has whatever TV shows, whatever food, whatever energy, we need to level up, because getting sick, expressing symptoms is a level up. It's not you're not sick. It's a very, very intricate, amazing, beautiful process.
Right.
So when I shared that, she's like, oh my God, we didn't, like, me and the girls, we didn't express at all. So that just means your bodies didn't need the message. You're good. Like, because we're so intelligent, they'll know. So now here's the thing. I said, listen to this. Medicine, science would go into that house and would study his sick ass. I would want to go in and want to know why they didn't express symptoms. I want to take every variable, even though we know we couldn't reduce them to variables. Right. But hey, ladies, what are you thinking about? What are you watching? What are you reading? What are you eating? What are you being? Where's your sleep? I don't want to know what the person who's expressing symptoms is. Afterwards, I want to go into, but like, no, he wasn't in a state of function. His body needs to level up. I don't want to know like what his habits were, but that's what we do. We study sick, like symptomatic. Like, I don't care. Focus on the people that are healing the stage 4s on the reg. Focus on the people that are resilient and are like, that's where the science should go, to get our curiosity of that possibility. But we don't, because there's a lot of people who would lose a lot of power if we did that, right?
Okay, so that point right there, this is what I'm curious, and I as we're taking people on this journey and hearing you, can you go travel back in time and what was the first glitch in the matrix for you to understand that you would focus on the study, the well versus the sick, or where can we get that catalyst for other people to be like, oh, got it?
So I been in this business for 20 years, 20 plus years, which is like soft tissue rehab is what it started with, performance training. But we were training pro athletes down to children up to Parkinson's, MS, and paraplegics, all the same. They're just human beings trying to express. And they're all the same. And I'm like, geez. And it was brand new to me. There were 3 of us, and we were pulling back the curtain on a lot of techniques and approaches. And I was like, the way they approach, they're limiting you with what your capacity is. And we had people healing themselves from things that I'd never seen before. And I was just like, wait, I was told there were limits. I was told there were, you had to approach it this way. You can't do this. No, protect that injury, protect the sick, protect. No. They need more than us. They need way more than us. Holy shit, this is crazy. So it was through like soft tissue injury stuff, I started to see the capacity of the human, and that when we're expressing a symptom, we need more stimulus. We don't need protection. That's not how our body's designed. So that's actually the absolute worst, is when you protect an arthritic joint, protect an injured area, put a boot on something past a fracture to set a bone and past that. Orthotics, braces, taping, all these things. I'm like, these people are radically worse than the ones that don't do that.
Wow.
Huh. And then you pull back and you go into, thinking about that germs are bullets and we need to dodge every bullet outside. Like, what if they're not bullets? What if they're instructions, like coded instruction, and ideas?
Yeah.
And we could absorb these ideas, and we don't even have to think about dodging anything, because that's an exhausting life.
Right.
I don't want to dodge anything. I want to go experience this life. Well, death, right? But not dead doesn't equal healthy.
Yeah.
And that's what this country does. We'll plug people into a hospital system at 750 grand and a cancer thing that, wait, so they existed for 4 years, racked up this debt. Were they happy?
Right.
Did they live? No. And so that's what we have now, is a not dead, you're healthy type approach. So I guess it was like really looking at injuries and the way that the bodies responded to insults that way, that it because you can't segregate that field of study from anything else. It's all just one big stream, and so that's what people try to do now. It's like, oh, the fact that there's like osteology, it's like study of, it's just humanology, the study of all of it. Like, if you're a dentist and you don't know all body, but that's where we got a cardiologist, we got an oncologist, we got a proctologist. It's like, damn, do all of them talk to each other? No, they don't communicate.
Right.
So, or the idea of a mammogram or colonoscopy. Right. Somebody comes in with a rolled ankle, the last thing I'll look at is kind of the ankle. I'll go into the rest of the body, and then we'll finally hone down. If mammograms and colonoscopies are accurate, they're looking at one area of the body, an expression of health of one area.
Right.
And based on that, they're going to cut shit out of you. Cut your breasts off, cut your colon out. That'd be like me telling people, hey, you know what? If you don't have ankles, you can't injure them. So I'm just going to fucking cut your legs off.
Yeah.
Like, sweet. You never had an ankle injury.
Right.
I know, but I don't have feet.
Right.
But here we are. Like, I mean, it's the most asinine approach to, and it also drives a business model. Like, oh, so again, I've just looked deep into these injuries and stuff. And I'm like, that's why germ theory, cancer, even the name of it, just names of diagnoses, just no way am I giving it power. Those labels, man, you want to heal? Don't name your Instagram your disease. Like, there are more people who take on that, and there's no way you can heal when your name on a social media is what you've been labeled with. Done. Stop. You're not a label. You're just in a state of healing. You are in a state of healing. They had to name it because they had to code for it. So there's a treatment plan for it through the insurance process. You're not that. And now they're labeling feelings as disease. Can't do that, man. Like, we can't do that. So curtain was pulled back. And then that's why when this thing showed up, I was like, I don't watch the news. I haven't in like 17 years.
Right.
And so when it happened, I'm like, fuck, no way. This is the stupidest thing.
Right.
Wait, I'm not locked down. I'm not shutting my business. No. And then it was like everyone was aggressively coming at me. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? What just happened? This is all bullshit. This isn't even how we operate. And I was trying to tell as many people as possible. And then who gave me it to even go even stronger? Kelly Brogan released a video, Dr. Kelly Brogan, March 17th.
Wow.
And she did a 20-minute beautiful video on why germ theory is bullshit and why we shouldn't fear an invisible villain in the air and all this stuff. And I reposted it. I got so much hate. I knew I was on the right track. I could not believe how much hate I got for that post March 17th. So all this bullshit started March 13th, if you remember, right?
Yep.
It was Friday the 13th.
Yep.
And that gave me wings even more. And then I didn't know what was at stake. I didn't know any of the deep shit. I still don't. I just want to be aware that there's some really gnarly stuff, but it's not going to affect. I'm just going to go live me so I can make the best decisions and see the world how I want to see it to choose, that path that I'm moving forward. So I think it was all pulled back. Helps to have a Serbian best friend in Chicago. He's like, the history books. Are you fucking kidding me? The history books are bullshit. I was in the war and they reported all bullshit. And so we pulled back this curtain on, the medical mafia, the education. I mean, basically what all systems need to fall apart now, right? Like the food, the medicine, the law, religion, even. My God, all of it, dude. All these. So
I love it. It's funny you said your Serbian friend. There's a guy I know that I was doing business with, and his dad runs the oil and gas in Russia and friends with Putin. And I go up to Vancouver, BC to meet with them. And he has this the VIP section. I sit with them, and I did this video called The Why Revolution. And when I had my ad agency, about every 80 years, a new generation comes as the new hero. So 80 years ago, we had the greatest generation. 80 years before that was the American Civil War. 80 years before that was the American Revolution. It's a 80-year cycle. And I was talking about the greatest generation in this video, that we could be the next greatest generation because we're at the 80-year cycle. And he looks at me and goes, America did not win the war. I was like, what? This guy was not giant. Like, he was serious as could be. So, Russia won war. America took credit. And I was like, whoa, okay.
I know.
Serious cat right now. So I was like,
I know.
Just different perspectives. My point is, a different perspective. Here's two different views of one thing. And this guy, like your friend, like they're changing everything. But what is true right now? Are we walking in peace, living in love, honoring one another, and one of the things I'm blown away with, and I've talked about this quite a bit on the podcast, and I saw this coming last year. I don't understand what the left is doing. And truly it just happens to be on the left. It could be on the right. And I would say, I don't understand what the right's doing. It just happens to be on the left right now, that they're provoking an armed populace to the precipice. And I just don't that is a suicidal thinking. It's just insane. It's insane to me.
I know.
My buddies are all special operator. I just happen to have, God has brought warriors in my life, and I grew up different. And I'm looking at, he's got but you're in skinny jeans and not you, but what are you doing? And that's where I'm blown away. And that's why I love your message. And I don't know, this is more a philosophical conversation, more like what is happening with this group of people that are living in fear, but have this like rageful, false sense of they're tough. And I'm like,
it's that whole attack. I mean, it's even, I got Dr. Northrup on the live tonight. I've interviewed her many times. It's that divine, feminine, sacred masculine. Like nobody even knows, they exist in both of us. And I called out men in a video, and it's like just the way everything's been set up. It's to destroy both of those and eliminate both of those. And they've done a good job. That's one of, some will even say that's the key to this whole thing. is men finding their sacred masculinity and women finding their divine feminine, and us realizing there's both and there's roles. Yes. And we both need to do this thing to protect Earth and her children. And some will be like, that is the most important component to this whole thing, is them finding that. And everyone's like, you're such a divine masculine man. I'm like, I'm not acting like that. I didn't read books on divine masculine. I'm just being me, like a man to my greatest level. And I stand on I was walking with a girl and I stood on the inside of facing the road. And she's like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, so if a car comes, I take it. And she's like, what? And I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, she's like, where'd you get that? I'm like, I don't know. I thought there was like a manners video or something. Like, I don't know. It just seems right to like take the car first so you have a possibility of surviving. And like, everyone's like, oh, how do you feel like you're such a divine, sacred man? I'm like, I'm not, stop even with that label. I'm just a man who's being the best human he can and doing what I need to do. And if that's protect, serve, have courage and honor and respect and do the work daily, and fuck yeah, let's go. And then there's, but that just, it's the whole of society. I mean, messages in movies, the things in the food, the, fashion and entertainment, and like, what the, I don't even, I've never voted. I've never voted. I won't vote. I'm like team human all the way. Like getting back to that, like getting back to the best human you are, whatever that is for you, that there is this way to live, and it's human. It's not paleo, and it's not, it's just a human expression of self. That's all. And that's all we can do emotionally, spiritually, mentally, intellectually, physically, every single freaking day, is just to address those things on the day. And that's your agreement, because you were given the lottery. You won the lottery and you were born. You're the first winner, first winning sperm. So let's ride that winning wave. Let's go. Fired up. Like I'm watching a video right now. We started off as winners. Let's go, man. We beat billions of sperm. That's right. We came in first. That's right. Hell yeah.
Reminds me of General Patton saying that the thought of losing is hateful to Americans. Losing become acceptable as a no. My God. We're winners. That concept. I was going to give a second TED talk before it got canceled with this whole insanity, but the topic was me too, us too. Pain is pain, and it was the whole premise was when men heal, the world heals. Because everyone, I think, is responding to this wound. You're right. But wounded guys that were wounded, trying in their wounded masculine to solve, not having the feminine open to receive love and receive kindness and receive, you and I could be and not be like, oh, what's up? Like, oh, hey.
No, bro it out. I know.
Right? I know. Exactly. And I was saying women have the unique gift, and thank God they do, of having two X chromosomes. And I say, look at an X, it can receive on every side. So their natural gift is the feminine, nurturing, receiving, making you feel comfortable. Men have the X, so they can, but they also have this Y, and the Y symbolizes masculine and feminine in balance. And without it in balance, it can't receive anything.
It's huge. It's huge, man.
All feminine, it's all going to fall. And if it's all masculine, it's all going to fall. And we get to, and we are, because you and I are creating it and sending this energy out right now. We are coming back to this balance of celebrating the beauty of humanity in its fullness.
I agree, man. I can't see any alternative happening. So I can't envision it. So I just don't see the alternative of not going to what we're fighting for. So I'm good. That's where everyone's like, how are you so positive? How are you so, I'd find my best life in prison. I would find my best life if I had one arm. Yeah. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, how am I so positive? How the fuck are you not? You woke up. There's like thousands of things you get to experience. And I'm going to say this at the talk. Like, we're celebrating 1 year. Did anybody improve their lives? And like a third of the room will raise their hands. For the rest of you, why not? What have you been doing? Like bitching and moaning and waiting for a protest or waiting for us to do a talk or give you data to show you to live. No. Like, what the hell are you doing? Well, my kids, are they still alive? You still have them. Oh, okay. So you're good. Well, money, I lost my job, but you have $1,000 iPhone that you're filming this talk. Oh, okay. So you have money.
Right.
Like, well, food, like, oh, but you're still here is what I'm saying. Like, you're still alive.
Right.
I don't care what you're going to tell me. Right. There is no reason you shouldn't be leveling up in some capacity. There's a dude with no arms and legs who has the love of his life and he just fathered a kid. Like,
that's right.
You got nothing. I got nothing. There's nothing you can say. And we got to start looking at that on how we can improve ourselves right now as a human race, starting with the individual. And that's where it will start and end. Ole Ollerton said, there's a reason they tell you in like planes. He was the special forces, 1 meter square. He's like 1 meter square was our platoon, like our group. You didn't worry about all the other guys. You worried about 1 meter square within yourself. You took care of everything within that 1 meter. If you did it right, your part was of the whole, and the whole was just this force. But you didn't worry. Everyone had their own thing. And when you did it, you were just this wave of force. But everyone's trying to get the wave to take care of the one, right. Or, hey, can you guys from Health, Freedom, for Humanity do a protest so this will all end? Oh, no. There's no protest to end this. Right. Great to express and do some things and stop. But if you're not going home and then after you make your signs, doing personal work in a radical way, something's up. And another one, he goes, masks come down in an airplane. You put one on yourself first. You take care of self.
That's right.
And then you can care for whatever it is you want to care for. But we are afraid of ourselves. We are afraid of what we're going to find. But I look at it as like, what a great opportunity to improve.
Yeah.
Like, oh, do you cry? Fuck yeah, I cry. Like, feels good. Right. There's stuff to express emotion, like, are you kidding me? Hell yeah. Am I down? Yeah. I don't like seeing this stuff. I don't like trauma, but our bodies are designed to heal greater than the trauma force. Great. They fucked up with this bad idea, a fairy tale of a pandemic.
Right.
So they traumatized us. Well, guess what? We're wired to heal greater than the level of trauma. Let's do this. You just need a little help. That's our wiring. That's our design. They messed with the wrong species.
I freaking love it.
Mm-hmm.
As we, the work, the work is a big umbrella. I've done, for me, in 2016, I hit rock bottom, started having flashbacks of all the stuff. I've gone on this healing journey, did therapy for 2 years, every single week, never missed it. I used to have therapy. I talk about it in the TED Talk, I used to, therapy.
Yeah.
Okay, tough it up, attack it.
Sure.
But then here I am, hurting, and I go through this whole process. I go to an emotional intelligence program down in San Diego, radically changed my life, sat with plant medicine, breath work, all the things, all the methodology, all the big things of healing and angel healing and soul regression healing and all this stuff. And every time it's like something else, I come back into myself more and more.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I can stand like Maximus and Gladiator and like, are you not entertained?
Yeah, totally.
So I heard for you, because man, thank you for speaking, brother. I don't think you understand, maybe you do, and because it's who you are and just how you be. But there are some guys that I love dearly that are big men that are still playing the game and complying.
Oh yeah.
Trying to say compliance is not a virtue. Safety is not a greater virtue than freedom. For if it was, no one would be safe.
No.
Freedom is the only virtue, and in that, may we all live and be sovereign. Yeah. So when you say work, for someone listening right now, we got people all over the world listening to this, and there isn't a silver bullet, I realize, but where can one start in relation to where they are? Like, what's your...
This is huge. This is huge. So I'm going to tell you exactly. So, and none of it's mine. None of it's mine, because there is nothing new to invent that we need. It's all just there. It's been there. It's existed forever. People have done a really great job without innovation, science, and technology. We have the innovations for sure, but I'm just saying, there is a way to use this, but when we have science in one hand, technology in the other, we don't have something to grasp the human spirit. And so here it is. I took it from Dispenza's work, radical remission, miracle, these healings of cancers. They all had something in common. And then conversations with 90-plus-year-olds that were still driving themselves, still walking, still eating, like living, thriving lives.
Yeah.
And I'd ask them what the secret was on purpose, because they scrunched their eyebrows. They're like, secret? What the hell are you talking about? It's like every day, you know, like I'm doing stuff every day.
Attack it.
But they never said diet or exercise, which I love. They never, ever said, I'm living this way because of this diet plan and this exercise plan. I'm like, oh, I love it. So it comes down to these things I call the 8 essentials, because another thing, I've heard a lot of people pushing these essential oils, which are fine. I use them to replace cleaners and stuff. But I'm like, how essential are these oils like to life? Yeah. Because they'll sell them like you need them like fucking, you know, to just get out of bed, you need an essential oil. I'm like, I don't think they're essential, but what is truly essential? And then I was always evaluating myself in practice in my life. What do I need? And then what can I add? But what do we truly need? So all those factors coming in, here's the list. So if anybody's listening, write them down in linear fashion, but understand they're like wrapped up on each other. They're like quantum and they're all linked together, but it's not linear. Okay. First one, a belief in something greater than yourself, whatever that is. This is your list and it's individualized. That's where the fingerprint comes in. Yes, it's a list. And yes, these are framework, but you add the meat to the bones. It's your list. Number 2, purpose. I love small, medium, and large. You have to have a freaking reason. And if you ask people why they have that job, they don't have a reason. Why are you doing that? There's no reason. They just do it because they're supposed to do it. I'm like, oh my God. And they're like, what do you do? If you ask me what I'm doing every single day, I will have a damn good reason to what I've done, because the intention is there, driven by this idea to express life at the greatest potential. Like I want to fly. I told Dr. Cassie Huckabee, I want to fly. Has somebody levitated ever? She's like, yeah. Okay, then I can. I'm good. Like it's somewhere in my print, you know? Number 3, relationships. Those ones that support your belief in your purpose, the ones that antagonize it with a mirror, challenging you. And then the ones that are just those energy vampires, as some people call them, they're gone. They're just out. You only have a certain amount of energy to give to people. And now we're seeing a big cleansing of the inbox. Yeah. Number 4, sleep and naps. Number 5, breath, meditation, prayer. Yeah. Number 6, outdoor exposure, just opposite side of the window. Cold, hot, rainy, bright, outside. Number 7, nourishment. Simplified. I'm not a diet guy at all, but getting back to knowing where your food comes from. And I mean fucking exactly. And the grocery store is not what that place is. Like the actual farm or the actual place it was raised or groomed or whatever. And then make homemade meals, making meals from scratch, connecting with our food again. Number 8, body movement. So now, we go into this whole list and you have 2 columns, and the 2 columns I stole from Dr. Cassie Huckabee last Friday. So I just added these to the list. I was just telling people, right, first of all, what those topics mean to you, just what they mean to you. No judgment from anybody, but you got to be vulnerable and you got to be open. You got to like lay it out. What does it mean to you? Then I did like red and black, but she framed it better. It was going to be things that were promoting that, supporting that column, things that antagonize that column. She put it beautifully, because she'll do this with her patients. And again, she's got people healing like radical stuff, healing them on their own. She never claims to heal, nor does anybody outside you heal. The person heals themselves. So you choose those 2 columns within that category. What actions towards that are medicine and what action towards that are toxicity? And you just put them, boom, 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 and you just label. And you just go, you categorize, and you do it for all of them. And you spend time with this document, and it's a living document. And then you start to look at, wow, what could I take out of the toxicity column, and what could I add more into and you start doing these little steps per day. You can't apply to all of them because it's impossible. You can't max out each. Right. So maybe for somebody who's never made a meal, they make 1 meal this week. That's a huge growth move. Or maybe somebody took a 7-minute nap who's never napped before. Or somebody woke up 4 minutes earlier. Or somebody went outside during their work break instead of watching, you know,
Right.
YouTube videos or whatever, right? Like
Right.
they did something small. Celebrate the small victories. Like if you did something, celebrate the shit out of it and be like, hell yes, success.
Yeah.
And then you compile those, you be consistent with it. And I put on, so I have these posters for sale. I know I just did a product thing, but this other woman on a podcast was like, do you have these 8 in a poster? And I'm like, I got it on Vistaprint for like my office. She's like, you should make them. And I'm like, damn it. So they are on my Instagram and my link tree. Like they're with t-shirts and hats and these posters though. People are getting them for their fridges or they're at dorm rooms or they're at office spaces, man. And then at the bottom, it says, be consistently savage with the simple. And I'm telling you, all those radical remissions, Dispenza stuff, the 90-plus-year-olds, they all look to those 8. There's nothing really new. And then here's the thing. If you want to throw in something new, it's built upon those 8. It's not a replacement for those 8.
Great.
So everyone's like, oh, infrared by the computer or energy mat or whatever. Like, well, okay. But now think about this. What you just changed just so you could stay at your computer longer. But are you breaking one of those rules? Like, nah, we're just not supposed to be at a computer for these lengths of time. so like we rig out our lives with these hacks so that we can exist in these shitty ass lives. It's like, stop, man. Your body's telling you to get the flip up and giving you eye headaches and warping your eye muscles. It's telling you, stop. Listen to it. So again, there is massive, massive, massive healing with those 8 simplified, focused on, and when I mean savage, I mean like, that's why those 8, you are not knocking me off those 8. Like you're not going to get in my way of those 8. I'll leave you. I will drive separate to a social event so I can peel off, and I'll come in late 45 minutes because I'm going to do my spine shit or whatever I got. And I'm taking no shame because health is number 1. As we see, that's why they attacked it with this sham of a thing. They knew if they attacked health, they could get people to do whatever the fuck they wanted to. And here we are. But with those 8, man, that's where it all lies. Those 8, I've really had a hard time applying massive intention to those 8 and really wondering what else I should add. You know, like what other, you'll start to see you can cut out certain professionals in your life because you've hired everyone to keep you together, you know? And it's like, but then what happens is if you do find that professional or practitioner or friend, they honor those 8. They mix in well. Do you know what I mean? Where I find that the one, even in the holistic world, they're trying to do their work to replace one of those. So it's like, no, you're not for me. You are a product of the factory called a holistic, you know, education system. You need to be out. You need to sell. I always tell people to sell paper. Dunder Mifflin's hiring. And they're like, I don't have many chiropractic friends. I don't have many, like, they come by to like get my system. And I'm like, dude, I don't have a system. I don't even keep notes. My notes are Post-its. Like all over my office, like notes. What the fuck are you talking about? Somebody isn't who they were last Wednesday. They're a completely different person. Why do I care who they were last Wednesday? I want to meet them right now. They should be. And if they do the work, that's why I keep telling people, if you meet me again and we do something like months from now, I damn well better be a totally different person.
Yeah, that's right.
You too, right? Like
yes,
infinitely better than we were. We had a month or we had a year. Fuck, let's go. Like I'm going.
Man, I'm ready to attack. Point the field.
Let's go, dude. I'm telling you.
After the brother.
I know.
Thank you. I just want you to know the impact of you, just so you understand as a brother to you, someone who's in Seattle. I'm the only person in every Whole Foods. I'm the only person without a mask. And mask is so stupid that it is even a thing, right? It's like, there's way more, but it's a line, and I'm not bowing to it at all ever. No one's gonna force me against my will ever again, because I'm not going back to my childhood living of getting abused. Like, you know, you're not gonna cross my will anymore. So fuck you. I will impose that force back onto you, and you are not ready for the force that I am prepared to come at you with. So stop. I'm telling you, stop. So I just want you to know, you getting me fired up right now, which I love, but because you've been able to speak and be a brother side by side with me in this. I've been the only person in these stores in Seattle going into Whole Foods, and then I slowly see, you're talking about the energy rising. Benjamin Franklin said, instead of cursing the darkness, light a candle. And what you're doing is you're flicking the candle on and didn't just pour gasoline. And my car is going on, more gasoline and more gasoline. We're lighting up. So I viscerally feel fired up right now. And you're the same guy that I see the videos, and we're creating something beautiful right now.
I just got goosebumps, dude. I've had more of these cosmic winks and these stuff now more than ever. I will say it's a really great time. I know, but we are a part of something that's so big. Yeah. It's going to be one of the biggest things in history of man, because it's one of the scariest things in history of man.
Yes.
So we're good.
Thank you, brother.
We're good, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I will put the show notes. I will put the link to the poster. We'll get everything. And I'm going to buy it myself. I mean, that's something that we got to have up in here.
Rad.
It's awesome.
Hey, and if you can, so we started Alex Zek, Ali Zek, Joe Yee. There's a bunch of us. We started a nonprofit. I want to put attention to that. Healthfreedomforhumanity.org. We're just fighting for your health and medical freedom, but it's one that's like different than ICANN or Stand for Health Freedom or Millions Against Medical Mandates. We're bringing it all together into one place and empowering. And we got a good podcast. We got education class. We got all this grassroots stuff to put it all in one area, because everything's being threatened. As I said, education, religion, food, medicine, health, travel, tech, media, that it's one stop. And we've got a lot of people a part of this, and we also have our business and lives and stuff, but we just got started, and it's a really amazing thing. And so we're trying to get as much attention. It's going to be a cool place because we'll have state representatives, people in different states, professionals in different states, so you can know who to go to medical care for. And the potential's huge, and I'm pumped about it. Yeah. So anyway,
I'll put that in the show notes. And then when you guys are ready, I know it's tough coordinating schedules, but I'd love to do a podcast with maybe you and Ali. I mean,
dude. So Alec, Joe, and I do the podcast together, like hours, and it's kind of a trippy three man headed monster, because we all bring different dynamics, So for sure.
Oh, brother. Well, thank you, man. And
of course, dude.
Someday I'll give you a huge hug.
Done.
Bro. Yes, thank you.
Bro hug. We got it.
You got it. Yeah, it's gonna be big, man. Thank you. Seriously, thanks for coming on. I'll put all those in the show notes, and appreciate it.
Perfect. Sounds good.
Whew, I'm fired up. Brother Tommy, thank you so much for coming on. And everyone, I hope you really enjoyed that, and that it gives you some encouragement, inspiration, and fire to be cultivated inside you, to stand in your sovereignty, to not walk in fear, to walk in love, to be the permission for other people to come out of the cave of fear, the prison of fear, so that we can walk in love and light. I bless you all. I am Lucas Mack. This is the Golden Rule Revolution. Thank you for watching and listening, and I'll talk to you on the next episode. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for listening. For support in your journey, go to my website, lucasmack.com.